Hi, welcome to Overthinking Entrepreneur. I'm Megan, and I've had a successful online business for a few years now, and I think I overthought probably about 90% of my decisions along the way. Honestly, I just overthought whether I should say 90% or pretty much every decision in this intro. So if you find that relatable, you are definitely in the right place. In this podcast, I will help you get out of overthinking and into action so that your online business can finally start growing. Let's talk about how to get more referrals for your business. This is one of those things that until I really sat down to think about it, I didn't realize that I'm really good at this and I get a lot of referrals. And it's one of those things that has just happened so naturally that I kind of didn't recognize at first that I really do get a lot of referrals. People recommend my group all the time. I have had people recommend one-on-one clients to me. I have had people tag my group, talk about a challenge I'm doing. I've had so many. I'd really be curious to sit down, and I don't even think I could possibly do the math or remember who came from a referral, but I would be so curious what percentage of the people that I've worked with who've purchased from me have come from a referral, because I think it's probably a pretty high number. And a lot of you aren't experiencing that. You might every now and then get a referral. You may have never gotten a referral. And I want to talk to you about some of the things that I think make a big difference when it comes to getting referrals. So some of the things that I've personally done, and I had to really sit down and think about, because if I'm being completely honest with you, I love referrals and I do encourage them, but I don't talk about them as often as I wish that I did. I don't ask for them as often as I wish that I did. And it's not something that I set out saying like, how can I get a bunch of referrals in my business? It's just been something that has happened very naturally for a few different reasons. And so I want to share this with you and how you can start to just some changes that you can make to really start having those referrals come to you more frequently, but also have it feel very natural so that you're not constantly begging for referrals and you're not constantly messaging people saying, oh, do you know, please send me someone. Like, people might start running after a certain point. So let's talk about referrals. Now, the first thing that I want to say is that I think it depends a bit on what it is that you sell. And I want to just, put this out there. If you don't know this, I went to grad school. So I went to pharmacy school and then I went to grad school for something called pharmacy administration. And it's kind of like the business side of pharmacy. So it wasn't running a pharmacy, which is what a lot of people thought. It's more the kind of research side, the people side. But anyway, we had to take multiple classes where we learned to read academic papers and then spot potential errors or spot potential things that skewed the results that maybe weren't caught before it was published. And so this is something I always look with a critical eye now at anything. And I do this with social media posts as well. But anyway, if you are listening to this episode, you may be identifying that, hey, what you do is work with other business owners and they might be more likely to refer than if you work with just a regular consumer. And I do think that's true. And that's what I want to acknowledge right up front here is that I think depending on who you work with, the different people might be more or less likely to refer. Like if, for example, you take a program of mine that really helps with your online business and then you see other friends struggling with their online business, it's very easy to tell them about my group or to tell them about what's working for them. And this same principle can 100% work no matter what you sell, but I think it happens very naturally. And a lot of times business owners are used to recommending and used to referring, and they will probably do it a little bit more naturally. But I've had people send me referrals who don't have their own business. So I just want to mention that too. I've had people who enjoy my other content or they enjoy following my stuff, even though they don't necessarily need it. They don't have a business, but they have sent people to me that did have a business. So it's totally possible to make this happen no matter who your audience is. But just keep in mind that sometimes they won't even think of it. So I want you to ask yourself, who's the majority of people? Who are your customers? And I think the best referrals come from people that have actually worked with you, but you can get referrals from people that haven't worked with you as well. But when you look at, your customers and you look at the people who potentially could be referring, just ask yourself honestly, do I think that they're probably going to even think to do this? Do I think that it's going to naturally occur to them or that the circumstances might come up? And if not, then you can kind of steer them in that direction a little bit more by, first of all, even talking about the fact that you love referrals. Some people might have no idea that you would want that, And I will say sometimes people, and I have had this happen with me as well, sometimes really well-meaning people try and send you a referral, but they don't truly understand your business or who you work with. And so the person that they send to you, it's just not a good fit. And that can lead to an awkward conversation sometimes. It's worth it because most of the time it works out really well. And even then with an awkward conversation, it's more so just, oh yeah, that sounds great. I just don't think what I sell is what you're looking for. And you just kind of, send them where they need. If you can, refer them to someone else. But I just want you to really think, first of all, is my customer base and my audience likely to even think to refer me? And if not, make sure that you're talking about it. This doesn't have to be an all the time thing, but mentioning, talking about how much you appreciate referrals, talking about how they can invite their friends to this group, talking about who's welcome, talking about, hey, maybe if you find a friend that can do this with you. These are things that I do all the time very naturally. I am constantly telling people to invite their friends to my group. If I'm running a challenge or something, I'm always saying, hey, maybe you can find a friend. It's really fun to do this with someone else. Like I'm creating that community feel, and the more the merrier feel, and subtly mentioning all the time, make sure you invite your friends here. So if you're not doing that right now, that would be my first suggestion that I would make to you, is to make sure people even know that you want them to invite their friends or how you want them to refer, because a lot of times they really have no idea. And once you decide that you're going to be more kind of open and consistent with talking about the possibility of referrals, now we need to help people understand who to refer and how to refer. So this goes really hand in hand. I actually just wrote some content prompts. Every month I write a fresh set of content prompts for my squad members, and then I also sell them in my shop. And the ones that I just got done working on, I put a focus on helping people really understand what it is that you do. And it kind of came about from working on this episode and from a conversation that one of my clients had with a friend of hers who was like, hey, I follow you on social media, but I feel like I don't really understand what you do. And this is the case for so many of us. And by the way, those content prompts are in my shop right now. I'll throw the link in the show notes if you want those to help people understand what it is that you do and step up your game and your content. But you need to make sure that people understand what your business is, what you do, how it works, who it's for, all of these things, and they need to understand it very clearly. If they know that you kind of do something related to jewelry, they're not going to send people to you. Or if they do send people, they're probably going to be the wrong people because they don't really understand your business. So this is a really important step one, is making sure that they understand very clearly what you actually do. And you might be thinking, well, I post about my business all the time. I'm sure people know. Yeah, do they though? Do they really truly understand what it is that you do? Or that example like I just gave, right? Do they understand that you do something with makeup? Or I don't know, I think she was with this company. I don't really know how that works. I'm not sure. Or I see her talking about matcha all the time. That's all I really know. So I want you to ask yourself, do people truly understand what my business is, what I sell, who I help, and how I help them? Because that's going to help people, first of all, send you the right referrals, but second of all, send you referrals at all. It's really hard to refer someone to a business that you don't understand. Like, hey, you should talk to my friend Susie because, I don't know, I think she kind of does something related to this, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, that's not the best referral, right? That's probably not going to get me running to talk to Susie because I don't even understand who Susie is or what she does or, anything like that. So you have to make sure that you are being very clear, very specific, and very repetitive when it comes to what your business actually does. And so this is why you need to spend some time really figuring out your ideal client, your overall mission for your business, and what you need to do. If what you're saying right now, I can already hear some of you, and I would be the same way, so I get it. I'm not judging you, but I can already hear some of you saying, but I sell so many different things that help different people in different ways. How am I supposed to have a consistent message? Well, you have to kind of zoom out and zoom out. Keep zooming out. Your goal here is that you have that one overall kind of main message, and then everything that you sell falls under that, like an umbrella. I like to call this your content umbrella. So you have the big umbrella, and then underneath that umbrella come all these little things. So let's say that your main goal is to help people have more energy and clean up the ingredients in their house. And then one of the ways you do that is with supplements. One of the ways you do this is with cleaning products. One of the ways you do this is with their clothing. One of the ways you do this is helping them learn to read ingredient labels, right? It goes on and on and on. But do you see how all of those little things feed into that same big umbrella? That's what we really need to work on. So you need to have a clear and consistent big umbrella message so that people understand what it is that you do and know how to even refer you to someone, because they know what it is that you do and they've seen that same consistent idea over and over and over and over. And I know you're worried about boring people. I know you think you need to change it up so that people don't get sick of your posts. It's the opposite a lot of times. Now, I don't mean copy and paste the exact same post. That would get really boring. That's not what we're talking about here. But talking about the same thing in different ways is really important. And the good news here is that it's pretty easy. A lot of times we're bending over backwards trying to come up with all these unique and fresh ideas. But what you need to do instead is talk about the same things more, so that it really clicks in with people and they really understand what it is that you do and they understand how to share it with someone else. And then the other thing that they need to understand is how to even refer someone. So figuring out, talking about what they can do. And in particular, if your audience is not people that have a business, they may or may not think to do this on their own. And even if they think of it, if they don't know how, they probably won't do it. So something that has been really easy for me is that I have a Facebook group, and people love to invite their friends to my Facebook group because they've gotten a lot of value out of the group and the community and from me. And it's a really great way when they see a friend who's struggling to say, hey, you should come check out this group. I've learned so much there. Now, I'm a firm believer that not everyone needs their own Facebook group. And maybe you want one, but now might not be the right time in your business. And I should probably talk about this at some point on the podcast, but I'm not saying every single one of you needs to go rush out and open your own Facebook group so that people can invite their friends to it. But what I am saying is that you need to have some clear and really easy ways that people know how to tell their friends about you. So when I do a video, at the end, I'm not perfect on this. Sometimes I forget, but I try at the end of the video to say, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and you found this helpful, please feel free to share this video or tag your friends. If you know anyone that you think could benefit from hearing this, please invite them. That is such an easy way for people to invite their friends to engage with my content and help their friend decide if they like me or not. So I always make sure that I'm encouraging people to share or invite their friends. Same thing with my group, right? I'm always telling people, invite your friends, the more the merrier. I do free challenges and things where I ask people to invite their friends and who they know and find ways to bring more people in and help grow the group. So these are things, like, it's not like I just kick up my feet and everyone refers their people to me. Sometimes it feels that way, but when I really think about it, like I'm doing a lot to try and encourage this. And they're not hard things whatsoever. They're things that I do really naturally and honestly didn't even kind of think about the fact that I do them. But like I said, making sure that you are telling people, feel free to share this, invite your friends, little things like that can really go a long way. So letting people understand who they should be referring and how they would refer that person. If someone doesn't know either of those, if they say, oh, I have this friend and their business seems really cool, but they don't know how to explain what you do or who they should be referring to you, they're just not going to do it. So it's up to you to figure this out. And well, it's up to you to figure this out in a lot more ways than one, right? If you haven't done the work of figuring out your ideal client and the valuable content that you are creating that would make people want to connect with you, make strangers want to connect with you, a picture of you and your cute kid doesn't matter to a stranger. They might say that's a cute kid, but they don't care about connecting with you. You have to offer something of substance that makes people want to connect with you and want to follow you. So figuring out who your ideal client is, figuring out the value that you can offer them so that there's something worth referring to if someone knows of a person who might want to get connected with you. These are really, really important things. And then figuring out kind of what your overall message is, what you want people to know about how you want to help them. And remember, keep zooming out until you find that big umbrella that encompasses everything. I'm not saying you have to limit yourself and that you can't talk about the different things that you sell, although I will take this minute to just once again give you a reminder that trying to grow multiple businesses at the same time hardly ever works. And especially with referrals, right? And if you're all over the place and it's like, oh, well, I think she used to sell oils, but now she does hair stuff, but now I think maybe she does makeup, but then she also did this, and then she was also talking about supplements. I don't know. I'm probably not going to refer someone to you because I'm not even clear what you're doing. And also because who knows how long you're going to keep doing it. If I give a referral, that means that I am putting my word behind recommending you to someone. Now, it's not deadly serious, I don't mean to make it sound like it's the most serious thing in the world, but if I give a recommendation for something, I know, especially at the point that I'm at in my business, I have built up credibility, and influence with enough people that there are some people that if I say, hey, you should do this thing, they'll do it. I mean, within reason, right? They're going to read it over. I don't think I have people that just like automatically do every single thing that I say. But I do think that my word means something at this point. And if I have given something an endorsement and a recommendation that, people know that they can trust me. And it's important to me to maintain that trust. I don't want to refer someone to you if you're inconsistent, if you bounce in and out of your business when it's convenient for you, if as soon as your business gets hard, you quit and try something different instead, I will not refer people to you, because what's going to happen is I'll send my friend to you. They might buy from you and then you disappear because it wasn't convenient, or something got a little bit hard and you decided you were going to quit your business. No, I will not. I probably wouldn't say this, and a lot of people may not say this to you, but I think subconsciously, a lot of people kind of have that assessment of whether you are someone that would be worthy of their seal of approval or not. And this has nothing to do with your worth as a person or being good enough or any of that stuff. That's not what I'm saying here. But do you show up and do you take your business seriously, and are you earning referrals? Because referrals are something that are earned, not something that is owed. Just because you have a business does not mean that people owe you referrals. And a lot of people seem to have this attitude of well, I started a business and my friends and family didn't, tell all their friends and family about me, and that really hurt my feelings. And it's well, first of all, you're just getting started. They might want to watch and see if you're going to be serious. They might want to watch and see, how this is going to work out before they're willing, because you have to remember that it's not just them doing you a favor. This could impact their relationship with the person that they're, if you were to scam them. I'm not saying you're a scammer, but if you were, just for an extreme example, right? But this is what people have to think about. If I refer a friend of mine to a scammer, I've now destroyed my relationship with that friend because I sent them to a scammer. So people will refer, and a lot of people are happy to do so, but you have to earn that referral first. You have to show up. You have to be serious. You have to be consistent. You have to be putting in the work. You have to be letting people know that they can trust you and that you know what you're talking about, and show that you are getting results for people, because no one wants to send their friends to you if you aren't showing those things. So I think that's really important as well. And goes hand in hand with that, very similar, but giving a referral worthy experience. So not only do you have to be kind of serious up front, and when people are watching you and seeing your content and your marketing and all of those things, it's very important, but also you need to give people a referral worthy experience, meaning if they worked with you, they need to be happy enough with what they got that they want to tell more people about it. If you leave them kind of underwhelmed, they're not nearly as likely to go tell their friends about you. And this is something that I've always taken very seriously in my business as well. I try to go above and beyond and over deliver. I cannot tell you how many times people have told me that I should raise my prices, that I'm not charging enough for what's included in this program, whatever it may be, right? Pretty much every single thing I've ever launched, people tell me that I should be charging more for it. And I don't disagree. And pricing is a whole separate conversation that I'll probably do an episode about at some point, kind of my personal philosophy behind pricing. But this is something that I do on purpose. Now, I am not saying that I give away $1 million of content for $10, right? That's not what I'm saying, but I do always make it my goal to over deliver. I do always make it my goal to be very serious about what I'm creating and put in a lot of hard work to make it as good as it can be. I don't just slap something together. I don't just go to ChatGPT and try and hit the easy button to make my program. And that's the other thing too that I think we need to be really mindful of. I'm not a hater of AI, although if I'm being honest, I'm not a lover of it either. I would say I'm somewhat dissatisfied. When you get those those things with the bubbles, with the scale from strongly dissatisfied to very satisfied, whatever. I'm not the middle one. I'm one notch close to I don't like it. So I think we just have to be careful. What I don't like about AI is how many people are trying to use it to do things that I really think should come from you. And the reason why is because if I sign up to work with you and it's exactly the same thing that I got from someone else because you both got it from ChatGPT, I'm not going to refer you. And if you're trying your hardest, I see so many people that are trying as hard as they possibly can to avoid working hard, to get out of the work. And I am not listen, we just talked about this the last few weeks. I've talked about this a lot. I am not the person that says that you need to hustle 24/7 and sacrifice your whole life to be successful. But you have to have the mindset of, I want to work hard to make this happen. And I want to create really good stuff. And I want to show up and follow through and do the things that I say that I'm going to do. And so if you tell someone, oh yeah, I'm going to send that to you, and you forget, they're probably not going to send you a referral. And I do this. I'm not blaming you. This is something, especially now that I'm juggling being home with my son. And like the mom brain thing is so real. I had no idea. I sort of thought, I guess I didn't think enough people said it that like I believed them, but I don't think I fully understood it until I experienced it myself. But anyway, I'm not saying that I don't ever do this, but I try really hard to, if I know that I'm not likely to remember something, I write it down. I set a reminder in my phone. Like, I try to do what I need to do to make sure that I can show up as my best self as a professional and give my clients an experience that will make them want to refer people to me. So if you're trying to do the bare minimum, or if you're stuck in the overthinking, or you're so freaked out about annoying people that like you're not even being a real human, you're copying and pasting scripts from other people, you're using ChatGPT to write everything for you, and then you're wondering why people aren't referring, well, to me, that seems pretty obvious why they're not referring, right? I think that we need to really take our business seriously, really put our heart into what we're doing, really care about people and the results, get invested in your clients. And there's a line here, right? I'm not saying like take on the weight of the world for your clients. I am not saying that you owe them like way more than what they've paid for. That's not what I'm talking about here. But when you are coming up with the options of how someone can work with you, and when you are creating your programs, if that's something you do, or when you are figuring out your follow-up sequence, or whatever that may be, you always want to think about like, how can I provide that really great kind of above and beyond customer experience? And another thing that I think helps a lot is that I am so incredibly real, which a lot of people have told me they really appreciate about me. Now, there's probably people that didn't like it and decided to not keep following me and haven't worked with me, and that's fine. But for the people that do work with me, they loved the fact that they know that if I mess up, I will admit that I messed up and I will make it right. They know that if they reach out to me and we'll probably laugh in our conversation. Like, they know that I don't pretend to be perfect. And that's not what I mean when I say giving a referral worthy experience. None of my stuff is perfect. I've never done a single thing that was perfect. I don't think there's nothing I would consider perfect that I've ever done, but I work really hard on it, and I make sure that I feel proud of it, and I make sure that I follow through, and I set appropriate expectations, and I deliver on what I said that I was going to, and then I try and deliver even more beyond that when I can. And that's what makes people want to send that referral. There are so many ways you can do this, and none of them have to cost you money, by the way. I have noticed that a lot of people, when they're trying to like create that unique kind of above and beyond experience, a lot of times they go to like, I need 1 million bows on my package, and I need this, and I need that, and I need to go give them 1 million things from the Dollar Tree. And it's like, you can if you want to, and if you have that money available, but I don't mean giving them stuff. It's more about just being there for them, being really real, being real relatable, building that trust, caring about them, building that true connection and relationship. That goes a long way in terms of building those referrals. But I think you just really want to remember, referrals can be incredibly powerful for your business. I had one friend who told their friend about me, who ended up telling the CEO of their company about me, and I was hired by that company to teach CEO to the entire field of consultants for a few years, all from one referral. So referrals can be incredibly powerful, and they're something that is definitely worth pursuing for your business. The other thing that you really want to think about, the last thing that I want to talk about here, is their experience, the side of the person that you want to do the referring. So the first thing is, what's in it for them? And then the other thing is, how can you make it really easy for them? So we want to think about what's in it for them when people are referring. Now, I have gone back and forth on rewarding referrals, and it's not something I've done recently, but it's something that I used to do and something I probably will start doing again. But even when I used to do it, it was more so like if someone joined the squad, I would reward that referral. It wasn't like if someone bought a $10 thing, I would give them this big reward. So again, I'm not saying that you need to spend a bunch of money or dip into your own profits in order to reward referrals. But if there's something that you can do, like maybe you send them a few extra sample packets, or maybe you give them a little personalized consult call where you help answer their questions or help them figure out how they're going to use something. Or maybe they go into an entry for a giveaway. There's a ton of ways that you can reward the referrals. And I don't think that you have to reward referrals, but if you're not getting the referrals that you want, this can be a good way to really speed up that process. When there's something in it for them, you're not just relying on people doing it out of the kindness of their heart. And that will happen over time if you're doing the right things, but time is a key factor here. We can't really decide when that's going to happen. And if you want more referrals fast, then offering an incentive can be a really good way to make people want to send those referrals. And then the other thing within this is, how do you make it easy for them to refer? And we already touched on this a little bit, but ideally you want to have a free and low pressure way that someone can connect with you. So I would not consider this necessarily to be like to send me a message. I think that yes, it's free, but that doesn't feel low pressure to me. And you may be a person who would never put any pressure on me whatsoever, but I don't know that. Like if someone said, hey, you should talk to my friend Susie, and then like they try and introduce us via Messenger. First of all, it's hard for me to initiate conversations a lot of the time. If you start talking to me, I can talk to pretty much anyone, but sometimes it's hard for me to initiate, or I'll overthink or procrastinate or whatever it may be. So you may tell someone to connect with Susie, but whether they actually do it, I don't know. But the other thing would be, if now they're in a one-on-one conversation with Susie and Susie's saying, hey, tell me about what you're looking for. Oh yeah, I have a product that's great for that. Here you go. Now all of a sudden this feels like a sales conversation. And now they're put in a position where they have to say, no, I was just browsing, or, oh, sorry, no, I don't think now's the right time. And that's awkward for people. Sometimes people will just avoid it rather than having to disappoint someone. So I don't think it's not the worst way. And if that's the only way that you have right now, it's fine. It's better than no way. But I want you to think about what is something that is both free and low pressure where someone can connect with me. So my Facebook group is a really good example of this. It is free to join my Facebook group, and there is no pressure whatsoever. If you join my group, you can come in, you can browse around, you can decide that you love the group and become super active. You can leave the group. You can, you don't have to have a conversation with me. There's no pressure whatsoever. It's a very easy way for people to say, hey, you might like my coach, or you might like someone that I've worked with. Here's her group. Check it out and see what you think. And it's very easy and it's free for them to come in and decide if they want to work with me or not. So a group can be a really good way to do this, but it's not the only one. You could have a lead magnet, which would be some kind of freebie typically used to grow your email list or your text list, if you have any sort of lead magnet. So I have my lead magnet, and I need to create some more, but I like this one that I made and it's been working well and people seem to really like it. But it's a guide to getting more engagement and an engagement checklist. So this can be a really great way. Like, let's say that someone who has worked with me and seen their engagement go up because of working with me, let's say that they have a friend who starts a business and says, man, I just feel like I can't get engagement. Like, I look at your posts and you get so much engagement. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And they could say, oh, I actually learned a lot about what goes into creating engagement from my coach. She has an engagement checklist. Do you want to check it out? And they can send that person the link, and that person can grab my free checklist. And now they are on my email list, and now they're hearing from me. Now they're going to start getting my emails more regularly, but they got a free thing that they could check out first and see if they're going to like it. So figuring out what that could be for you, finding that free and low pressure way that they could connect with you. This could also be something like a challenge. This could also be something like just free content on your profile, but ideally like a series. Let's say that you work with people who have really bad anxiety. Maybe you could do a series of Facebook Lives about anxiety. And then if someone knows a friend who's been talking about their anxiety being really awful lately, they could say, hey, you might want to check out this series. I know this person and they're doing some videos around anxiety that might help you. That's a really great free, low pressure way that they can send someone to you. So I think that's the thing that I want to end with here, is understanding that referrals can look a little bit different. When I say a lot of the people that have purchased from me have come from referrals, I don't necessarily mean that someone like straight up said, hi, you should meet Megan. Here she is. And then I said, hi, here's my website, place an order. And they did. That's not really how it went down. So does that happen occasionally? Yes, sometimes I'll have someone reach out and they say, hey, so-and-so told me about you and, I need some help with my business, and we have a conversation. But that is not the majority of the referrals that have come to me. The majority of the referrals that have come to me have been people where a friend told them about me, my content, or my group, or my lead magnet, and then they opted in to check that thing out, decided that they liked me, watched me for however long, some people not very long, some people a really long time, and then they went on to buy something. So I think I don't turn my nose up at any kind of referral. I think referrals are some of the best compliments that you can get. If you refer someone to me, that means that you think I, as a person, am worth referring. You think that I'm trustworthy enough, that I'm serious, that I'm consistent, that I'm worthy of you telling your friend about me, and that means so much to me. And then I also think that it says so much about my work and what I do, and that you believe in what I'm doing and that it helps people, and ideally that it's helped you. My favorite referrals are when someone has worked with me and been really happy with the work that we did together and then wanted to tell their friend about me, and so that they could work with me too. So shameless plug here. If you've worked with me, I would love for you to send a little referral out this week as you're listening to this episode. So whether you share this podcast, whether you share my group, whether you tell a friend, whether you tell someone about my lead magnet, whatever it is, I would be so grateful if you would put out a little referral for me. But I hope that you learned a lot here about what you can start doing differently and why you might not be getting those referrals for your business right now. So remember that referrals can look a lot of different ways. Remember that a lot of times people are willing to refer, but they just don't even think of it, or they don't know how. So it's your job to make it really clear to them who they should refer and how they should do that referring. It's also your job to be so consistent with your social media content and overall kind of message that you share with people so that they understand what you do and they feel like they have that good understanding of your business. And then you have to give that referral worthy experience. You have to focus on what's in it for them and consider offering some incentives. And then you have to have a really free and low pressure way for the people being referred to connect with you. Okay. I hope that you found this really helpful, and I will talk to you again next week. So your action step for this week is to go make a post talking about referrals. So you can decide how you want to interpret this. You can talk about referrals that you have received and why you're grateful. You could talk about the fact that you've never really gotten any referrals and that you would like to start getting them, and here's how. You could give people a list of different ways they can refer people to you. You get to decide how to do this, but if the referrals aren't coming, but you're also not asking for them, that goes pretty hand in hand. So basically your action step is to do something that puts yourself out there, that opens you up and asks people for more referrals. I hope this episode inspires you to go take action on something you have been overthinking. As much as I wish you could, you cannot think your way to success, so promise me you're going to go take some action today. Head over to overthinkingentrepreneur.com to find all the cool stuff I've made for you over the years, like my free guide to getting more social media engagement and my Facebook group, Dynamite Entrepreneurs, which has a free course on social media basics.